to day 95. 95, almost 100 days in. Um, I missed yesterday. Was just too tired and got to it too late. I mean, today is no different. It's 12 p.m., 12 a.m., so I'm starting super late. But alas, I did read, and so I'll cover what we read yesterday. Moving into today's reading. So yesterday was Judges 30 to 15, and it was the time of Samson. Now I wanted to do something interesting, which was just before we kickstart things here. I wanted to review what it meant to be a Nazarite. Um, Let me just ask AI. So and I think we looked at this in Numbers, looked at what it meant to be a Nazarite, right? So there were, and I've just used Claude to literally remind me what it meant to be a Nazarite according to the Bible, give verses. And so Nazarite 6, Numbers 6, 1 to 21. There were three core obligations for the Nazarite: no grape, no wine, no fermented drink, no cutting of the hair, no contact with a dead body. Okay? So these were the three sort of rules around the vow of being a Nazarite. I remember this was a vow that anyone could take, um, and they were to take this of their own accord and observe the rules for whatever period of time. Um, and yeah, this was this is what they were supposed to do. Cool. Now let's look at Samson, because he is probably one of the most famous Nazarites in the Bible. So probably he was the most famous Nazarite in the Bible. Well, let's look at why. So again, time of Judges, everyone does what was right in their own eyes, which mostly ended up being what was evil in the Lord's sight. And the Lord would hand them over to their enemies. They'd get beaten, they'd cry, and then God would raise up a judge to deliver them. At this point, the Philistines um, were oppressing Israel. So we've had the Midianites, we've had the Amorites, we've got the Philistines now. And Manoah, a man from the tribe of Dan, lived in this town, and his wife wasn't able to give birth, but then they prayed, an angel came and told her that she's going to have children. He will become pregnant and give birth to a son. His hair must never be cut, for he will be dedicated to God as a Nazarite from birth, and he will begin to rescue Israel from the Philistines. So she goes and tells her husband that this man of God has said this to her. The husband's like, okay, next time, you know, let me know. The guy comes again, as though answering Manoah's prayer. Manoah and his wife prepare a meal, a great offering for. No, they offer a meal, and he says no, but you can prepare a burnt offering. So they go and grab a burnt offering, come, they give the offering, and as the flames are consuming the offering, the angel of the Lord, rises up on the flames and goes into heaven, which is cool at the very least. But then she gives birth. Well, she gets pregnant, gives birth, names him Samson, and apparently the spirit of the Lord began to stir in him while he still lived in Mahat Nader, which is probably in his father's house. So one day when Samson was in Timnah, one of the Philistine women caught his eye. The other thing I should have reviewed was the rules around intermarriage. Israel was not supposed to marry the pagan people that were there. Um, I could bring up the verse, but we've talked about it enough, right? That was what led to, or that was seemingly Balaam's advice when he couldn't curse them, that led to their intermarrying, worshipping other gods, and God turning against them. So they're not supposed to marry other women. Samson, of course, sees this Philistine woman and decides that she's the one for him, despite this rule. So already, Samson's he's not proven to be the most observant of the rules that they're given. Interestingly, that doesn't stop God from using him, but it's interesting to see, right? And it's sort of those, there is the grace to God using him anyway, despite his flaws. But then there's also um, the chinks in the armor, the failings that meant the enemy has a way in. So his parents get this woman for him, and as they were going down, a lion attacks him. He kills the lion. Um, when Samson arrived in Timnah, he was happy. But when he returned to Timnah for the wedding, he saw the carcass of the lion and found that a swarm of bees had made some honey in the carcass. So you've got this dead body with honey being made from it. He scoops out the honey. Now, I doubt that he would have been able to um, take the honey without touching the dead carcass. But we've already seen that he's ready to marry a Philistine woman, despite what the Lord has said to Israel about not marrying pagans. Um, but he's also casually swiping honey from the carcass of a lion, a dead body, and eating it, and then giving it to others, thus making them also unclean. Um, and so, he then has this. So this again shows us something of Samson as being a person willing to, or willingly or unknowingly, um, flout the rules, not much caring for the rules. Now, he then comes up with this riddle: out of the one who eats came something to eat, out of the strong came something sweet, from the lion and the beast. And the people entice his wife to find out the meaning um, of the riddle, and she cries and begs him to give her the answer in somewhat of a foreshadowing of what's to come. Eventually, he acquiesces, gives him the answer. They tell him, and he had promised um, 30 uh, 30 pieces of linen to them if they were to able to solve the riddle. So he gets angry, he goes down, kills 30 men, and brings their linen, just crazy. But he is angry, of course, at this, leaves, and his wife is given to the dude who's supposed to be his best man for some reason. Um, Later on, Samson, and I don't know how much time has left, but they've gone from the wedding to a wheat feast, so at least some time has passed. Samson's taken a goat to go and then present to his wife. For however long he was not there was interesting. But when he does, his father says, "Oh, I gave her to someone else to marry her. He has a younger sister. Marry her instead." Not similar, but not too dissimilar from Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. Anyway, he retaliates to this and burns. So this is the wheat harvest. He burns their grain fields, um, which would have significantly hit their economy and made bigger enemies of the Philistines. Um, when when they go to retaliate, they come to Judah, and Judah like, "Why are you attacking us?" And they're like, "No, we've just come to capture Samson. And so Samson lets himself be captured, lets them take him. As the Philistines are taking him, Spirit of the Lord comes upon him again, and he grabs the jawbone of a recently killed donkey. Again, with a touching of carcasses, right? But with that jawbone and the Spirit of the Lord on him, kills 1,000 Philistines, which is interesting. Um, and after killing 1,000 men, which I don't know if you appreciate, that's a mad feat. He's thirsty, prays to God, and God's given water. God gives him water. Something judged 20 years. So that's yesterday's reading. Today's reading, we see the conclusion of his life. There's this story of him carrying the gates whilst they were waiting out for him in Philistine, in a town called Gaza, where he goes to sleep with a prostitute. Um, Interesting. Again, a show of his strength. I don't know if there's any significance to that feat other than, okay, he's super strong. But then he falls in love with another Philistine woman, Delilah. And again, the Philistine rulers tell his wife to figure out what makes him strong, and so they can defeat him. Now Delilah asks him, and I think it's like 3 times or so, 4 times maybe. He tells her she would try it. Like he tells her, oh, if I've been wrapped in rope, I'll be allowed. I'll be weakened. Or if my hair is braided a certain way, I'll be weakened. Each time she tries it, and each time he proves that this wasn't actually a thing. And when he finally shares this, like, I do wonder. Every time he's told her something, she's tested it, right? I wonder why he told her, knowing she would likely test cutting his hair, and he's not supposed to cut his hair. Maybe he thought she definitely won't, like cutting my hair is a bit more permanent than just braiding it or tying it with ropes. But alas, he tells her. She rats on him, cuts his hair, and they come and grab him and they gouge out his eyes. And as they bring him to like a festival where they are having all this revelry over their god handing something over to them. But Samson's hair is starting to grow back, and he finally prays and asks God to use him against them. He braces himself against those pillars and kills more, about 3,000 men. Kills more in his moment of death than he did over his whole life. And that was his death. And then there's this next story, which is almost like a side quest about Micah. Micah is a judge, I believe. Is he a judge? No, he's not a judge. No, he wasn't a judge. He was just one random dude whose mother cursed someone who stole some money from her, and he then, admitted that it was him. Gets the coins that she had given him. Sorry. Returns some of the coin that he had stolen. The mother uses it to make a idol, and they place it in his house. And again, this is like people that are not supposed to make idols, so this is all just wrong. And Micah then, when a Levite comes by, Micah employs him as his priest. So now, not only is he having set up a shrine to a idol in his house, but he's now got a Levite serving as his priest, which is a mockery to God. And whilst this is going on, the tribe of Dan are trying to find somewhere where they can live. They find this Levites, and eventually get him to be their priest instead of the priest for Micah. And they're quite rude about it, ready to sort of beat him up when he then chases them down. Um, but they they eventually go down with this Levite. Um, they find the land, take the land, rename it after their ancestor Dan, but then set up this idol again to be worshipped instead of God. Um, and it's all sort of again just showing the state of Israel at this time, where idol worship is running rampant. Um, you know, uh, even Levites are serving as priests to the idols, and no one seems to care. And that's Judges 16 to 18, effectively. So we'll see the conclusion of that story tomorrow in Judges 19 to 21. God willing, I will be here earlier to talk about it.